Do you know what? I'm going to join the Mac versus PC debate right now. Here, I've got a Surface Book. If you've been a long time follower of the vlog, you know where I got this from. But I actually bought one originally, had some technical problems, sent it back, had a really bad experience with Microsoft, and through communicating with them, they very kindly offered to give me one of these for free for the feedback I'd given for that experience. So that was really awesome of them. And here we have a MacBook Air. So it's not a MacBook Pro, which probably most of you are looking for, but is what I use. So let me tell you a bit of the story. I've been a long time Windows user. I've used Windows 3.1, Windows 95. I even brought a copy of Windows ME, probably the worst version of Windows out there. Windows Vista, I've given a lot of technical support to family over Windows Vista. Thank you very much, Microsoft. I will be sending you the bill. Windows XP, Windows 7, Windows 8. I really liked Windows 8 for a very simple reason. The start menu didn't take like 20 seconds to load the program I want to load. So I can hit start, search for what I want, and I'm on my way. It was efficient at that. And then, of course, Windows 10, which is basically like Windows 8 with a start bar that doesn't take up the whole screen. But I use the keyboard shortcuts quite a lot. So Windows R, CMD, and then I'm there, I'm good to go, except it's command prompt and not terminal because it's pretty rubbish. However, I installed some like GAU or Cygwin, and that gives me pretty much some of the tools that I'm used to doing because I'm a programmer by heart. So yeah, Windows, I've used Windows. My best Windows machine I ever had was a Surface Pro 2. It was the tablet. I haven't got it with me. I use it for watching TV in the kitchen now because it's basically a nice little device for watching TV in the kitchen. It was brilliant. I've managed to connect up to 3 monitors to it. It was portable. The keyboard was pretty horrible, to be truthful, the flip cover keyboard, but I would plug it into a keyboard and mouse and stick it on a monitor so you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. That was really good. Then I bought this MacBook Air. Now, it's not my first time I've had a Mac. I've owned a Power Mac G4 when it was Power PC and brought back at the time the student license of Final Cut. That was great. Love my video editing, Firewire, all of that. And then they changed to Intel. None of my software worked. Thank you very much, Apple. It costs a lot of money to keep up to date with you guys. However, then I bought a Mac Mini, again a Power PC one before Intel came in, got screwed over by that. But it ran as a nice little SVN and CVS server back when I was doing my source control before Bitbucket and GitHub. So that was really good. Then I bought the 2006 MacBook Pro, and that was a fantastic device. Do you want to know why? Because I could put Windows on it, and I used Windows, and I had macOS to drop into when I wanted to do some Mac related things. So that was really cool. But pretty much I ran that as a Windows device, but it had a spinning disk, it was limited to 4 gig of RAM, and eventually the battery kind of crapped out on me and I couldn't really use it. I literally had to take the battery out of the thing, connect the power cord, which was a mag connector power cord, so you really had to be careful with that. Make no mistake, I love the mag connectors. Shame they got rid of those in the new ones, eh? And so basically I'd used this machine and to the point it was basically unbearable and it was running too hot and all those kind of things. And I've bought Windows PCs, I've built PCs, I've got Windows laptops, but I've always had some kind of issue with the laptops on Windows until I got the Surface Pro 2. I had some kind of custom built Windows laptops and they would basically give me blue screen of death when I try and do something that allows me to get my job done. Go figure. Nothing worse than basically a machine rebooting on you. However, having said that, that has also happened on a Mac to me, just random reboots. So it's not a Windows thing, I'm afraid. So here we go. I've got lots and lots of experience. I've got a Mac Mini at home, which is an Intel one, which I run as basically, I stick a 4 terabyte hard disk on it, and I use it for cloud syncing and backup. Kills the internet trying to do that, especially when you're doing vlogging and you've got lots of videos. But this MacBook Air, I bought this for I think it was about £800, including VAT. It was a 2013 model, something like that. I bought this to do some iOS development and try and get into that because it's something that was interesting to me and I kind of had a bit of a need with the work I was doing. Here's the weird thing. I bought this after having pre-ordered this, which is... So I was really excited about this device, my new Windows. It was a replacement to my Surface Pro 2, it would solve some of the things, because basically I love the idea of having a tablet. This is what really appealed me to having the Surface Pro. It's having the tablet, because I'm not an artist, but I love to doodle, I love to sketch, I love to draw. I don't do enough of it. It's a bit of a gimmick to me, make no mistake. But I love it. I've been into 3D modelling in the past as a hobby, and the idea of being able to sculpt on screen is really appealing. I just didn't have the time to do it, sadly. So I pre-ordered this because it solved the very simple problem of using the Surface Pro 2 on my lap in front of the TV and not having the thing fall on the floor because of a little magnet holding the keyboard, which basically is holding your entire machine. So this solves it. So I was really, really excited for this. It's got the 2 GPUs, so I can do video editing, but then it's good on the battery when you're using a tablet. Solves those problems, great. But I got this device, and this device has an SSD in it as this. This is my first Mac with an SSD, 8 gig of RAM, CPU, I think it's a dual core, something or other, you know. And then I plugged this into my ultra-wide monitor that I got at work. My ultra-wide monitor is a 34-inch. It's an LG 3840 or something by 2000 or something. I can't remember. Love the monitor. Best monitor I've ever owned. So much so I had to buy one at home just because I had to. Plug this in, and it worked beautifully on it. And it worked first time on it. And then suddenly, my experience of Windows, which was my go-to device, I used to hate OS 10. I used to hate Finder. I used to think everything's so fiddly. The Windows just kind of get all hickledy-pickledy. I never quite understood why people fell in love with Mac, because I'd used them. I've owned 4 of them prior to having this. And I'd used Windows. And suddenly, this thing on a big screen, I can't quite put my finger on it. Something changed. It felt like I was in more control. As weird as that sounds, the windows were nice and compact. I could put them where I need to on the bigger screen. And as I got used to using it more, and with the SSD, put it this way, a Mac without an SSD is rubbish in my opinion, because they're slow. I've got a Mac Mini at home, and the thing is so slow, 30 seconds to open Chrome. What's up with that? But this is snappy. Everything opens, it boots quick, works every time on my monitor, and it just feels luxurious to use on a big screen. So I had this, and I stopped using my Surface Pro 2. Then this thing came along, and I was really excited with this, but I had a bit of a conflict. It's like, I kind of want to use this as my daily drive. I've got my virtual machines on here, got my apps. I've now got access, although more later I kind of realised I had access to things like Sketch App and all of those kind of things, which I absolutely love. Creative Cloud, basically all the programs I know and love are accessible. So I get this thing, and I had a lot of technical issues with this thing, so I never really got to immerse myself into it, and I had to send it back, and then they wouldn't repair it because it was a manufacturing fault. That's how I had trouble with the Surface Book, to the point that I then just got a refund. And then a bit later, I kind of got a bit frustrated because people who I knew who were excited about this product, after me sharing my experience, said no, and they go and buy a Mac. So I felt like that was worth sharing with them, because I did love the Microsoft brand, because my career has been built. I learned Visual Basic. I made money programming VB6 back in the day. So I've got a lot of credit for Microsoft for enabling me to build the career that I have. So I had that brand love, but yet I was let down. So I ended up getting this device, but I basically use this as my daily driver. So this is kind of a bit of a conflict. And I've gone back to this. I still have trouble connecting this to my ultra-wide monitor. It just either doesn't want to. I don't know whether it's because I've got, Thunderbolt 1.2 enabled on the monitor. Bottom line is I plug it in and it kind of just doesn't connect. Or I use the hub and that doesn't connect. And I could spend 20 to 30 minutes just trying to get this working on the monitor before I can do any work. I can plug this in and I'm good to go. So, simple things like that. However, that's just a problem I have. That doesn't mean everybody will have that problem. And when they don't have that problem, it just works. So here we go. Love this device and now use this day to day, which is really fascinating. So what is it really that's caused it? And I think it's to do with how apps and Windows, the window management works. So for example, I find now that moving windows around on Windows is a little bit frustrating. A simple tap and it kind of moves in the wrong way, or I'm just dragging a window and it suddenly snaps. I used to love that feature until I realised I could have more control with the Mac and it doesn't snap. And I resize things the way they want and they come back the way they were. So maybe that's what's caused it. Maybe it's the fact that I don't know. I don't know why. But what I can tell you is that I much prefer Windows File Explorer on Windows. Very simply because, actually, to be truthful, I hate both of them. Finding files on a computer is really, really mentally challenging because, I don't know, if someone can solve this, I don't know if they can solve it, but I just know it needs to be solved. It's all about context. You know, I've got these quick access things on Windows and I don't know, it just seems to be random. I don't remember to pin things. But more importantly, when I'm in an app, I need access to the folder I was just in the other app. And neither of these machines seem to get it. But the thing I love on Windows is that I can just type where I want to go. So program files or program, whatever. And then I can copy that path and I can paste it into the save dialog or the open dialog of the program I'm using. I cannot do that on a Mac, and that's really frustrating. So Finder, you're kind of letting me down there, and there's some weird quirks in Finder, and so yeah, that's a big thing because, you know, having a PC is all about managing files. I use apps and I use files, but for the most part when I'm working I use the same apps on both. I use VirtualBox. I'm a web developer, so I use Ubuntu quite a lot. I just virtualize it. I run an IDE called Cloud9 running from my VirtualBox, so I edit now in my browser. I can literally take a VM from here to here, and I've got exactly the same setup. Exactly. So that's kind of really cool. I've kind of got this portability. I use Bitbucket to just move my code around. I've got cloud, all of that. So in terms of having data on one or the other, I don't worry about that. I use sync.com to get my videos from here to here, but unfortunately, it's very easy to run out of space on these devices when you're moving videos and big images and all that kind of around. So, but using services like sync.com, which gives you 2 terabytes, which is bigger than most of the other players for the cheapest price. I did my research, so that's really cool. Good on the encryption as well. So. Yeah, it's just good for data protection and all of that if you care about that kind of thing. So there we have it. Really, I'm very lucky to have these 2 devices, and yeah, I use this one. I would love to have a new MacBook Pro or something like that, but quite frankly, I'm not interested in a new MacBook Pro because I don't think they really understood what they needed to build. I'm sure you kind of fall in love with these things. With the touch bar, you've lost the mag connector, you've lost all your ports. That's a ball ache, losing your ports. I've got an iPhone now, and I'm actually vlogging with my iPhone now, and you wouldn't believe the amount of connectors I've had to buy just to put a microphone on it, and yet my Android works very effortlessly with that kind of thing. So Apple are very much trying to simplify the connectors by basically removing them, so you have to have lots of dongles and things like that. And they've gone and done the same with the MacBook. However, they've just announced that they're going to work on the Mac Pro, which has been unloved for many years. And it'll be interesting to see where they go with there. And hopefully they'll take some of that and bring it back into the portable side of things. And, you know, do a MacBook Pro with like 16 or 24 gig of RAM. Because when you use virtual machines or you do Premiere and all those kind of things, RAM kind of makes a difference. So please give us RAM if you're listening, Apple. I've got 16 gig of RAM here. I've got a laptop at home that I got years ago. It's 24 gig of RAM in it. It's great, but it blue screened on me. So, you know, I guess you win some, you lose some. Yeah. I wish this had a retina screen. I love the screen on here. Actually, this is one of my biggest frustrations. Connect this to a non-retina monitor and either you get windows that are absolutely minuscule or cursors, especially in Adobe Premiere, that are ginormous, that you can't click on the thing you want. Adobe seems to have weird things that if I click the file menu, it takes about 30 seconds to give me the menu, but on a Mac, absolutely blindingly fast. Loading Premiere on here takes forever compared to loading on here, just because this can render the windows much quicker, and this one hasn't got a clue what it's doing, and it just takes forever. So there you go. So yeah, Mac versus PC. I think it's a personal thing, to be truthful. I've loved this for many years. Something triggered me to transition to here. I haven't put my finger on it. I think it's to do with, at the end of the day, it's just got to be quick. The machine has to be quick. You click something, it's got to respond. Most machines do that. They haven't always done that. But these two machines tend to do that. I think the window management is very important when you have lots of tabs in a browser, when you've got command prompts, all those kind of things. The terminal window on here is far superior to here. I have put Bash with Ubuntu on here. I haven't really used it that much, so I don't quite know. The fact that Microsoft are paying attention and thinking of developers with this, great. They're starting from a really crappy position when it comes to command prompts and all of that. They've literally got I think it's virtualized Ubuntu, or I don't know what they've done, but they've had to go down that route, whereas a Mac, it's kind of built in to some degree. But ultimately, I eventually get into an Ubuntu virtual machine, and that allows me to do whatever I want to do that I'm used to doing, because I absolutely love Ubuntu. Wouldn't run it as a desktop, but I love it as a programming environment, because things kind of just work and you can virtualize it easy. You can't virtualize OS X easily because you need a Mac hardware to do it. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame. But then you need a license to virtualize Windows. So there you go. Yeah, I just wish this was snappier. I just wish this had more RAM, a bit faster. I wish the graphics card was better. So I can't do HD or even 4K video. Well, I can do HD video editing. I used to do my vlogs on there. 4K, I wouldn't dream of doing. I can do 4K video editing on here, no problem. That's what I did with the last vlogs, and it just handled it really, really easily. Now that the software updates on the Surface Book seem to be kind of working well, I've had a lot of trouble with reliability on this, but it seems to be working well. Other than that, I can't get it on my big monitor. That's the only thing. So there you have it, really. I've got both. So if you ask me which one do I use every day, I use my Macbook Air, which is about a third of the price of this one. It's nice and light. I love the MacBook Air. I've gone for the smaller one because literally I can just hold it like this, and it's really kind of easy to maneuver. Can't quite do that with this. It feels like it's too heavy back here because there are computers in the back. So of course I can't hold it on that point and expect it to be nice and steady. Absolutely love Windows Hello on this. Log in by looking at the screen. How awesome is that? Wish I had something like this. Wish my front door actually had that. I just look at it and it opens the door. That'd be quite nice. Although I'd probably be freaked out how reliable it is. I don't use the screen enough. I don't use the pen enough, which is a bit of a shame. Maybe at some point I'll really kind of immerse myself into that and do some content creation, all those kind of things. But there we have it. That's my kind of breakdown of why I use a Mac over a PC. I have used both very, very intensely over the last 2 decades, two and a half decades. Steve Wozniak was asked, I think, what he thinks of the new Nokia phone, BlackBerry, something, Windows phone, something like that. I don't know. Anyway, you'd think, being one of the original founders of Apple, he would say, Apple. Actually, he very succinctly put it, he loves platforms. He immerses himself into all platforms that he can, whether that's Microsoft or Apple or Android or iOS. And you know what? I do the same. I've just got myself an iPhone from a Samsung Galaxy S6, and I just love immersing myself in different platforms. It keeps me current. When I'm designing apps, when I'm designing websites, I've just got the context in mind. And for me, that's very important. That's why I like having access to both platforms. That's why I have phones, which are both platforms, because it's interesting to me and it's kind of related to the work that I do. So there you have it. See for yourself. Just immerse yourself in it. I appreciate if you're choosing one or the other. You can't afford both, but Do what you can do. Give it time and things do eventually grow on you. Learn the shortcuts. And I guess the only frustration I have with being multi-platform is going from here to here. And Apple, in their ultimate wisdom, decided to, in one update, change the scroll direction of the wheel mouse. Like, I understand why they did it, because fingers move up. So you move up and it doesn't move the page down. Whatever. It's to do with touch, but they decided to screw users who are using a mouse and just flip it without really telling them. So now I've got used to my scroll going the other way, and then I go and use this machine, and I always end up scrolling the wrong way. It's the same old thing with first-person shooters back in the day, with does up look up or does up look down? I always used to like up looks down because it was like a flight simulator. You push forward and the plane goes down. So I got used to doing that, and then I'd go and play against my friends GoldenEye on the old N64, and I'm looking at the floor of the ceiling all the time, despite the fact that they knew the maps and they could see what corner of the screen I was in. So there you have it. That's annoying. @ keys are in the wrong place. Okay, if you're American, you'll be fine. The @ keys will be in the same place. But I'm British. The @ key is down here. However, I've got used to the Mac way of doing it. In fact, I can switch that on fairly quickly. But the one that really gets me the most is copy and paste. Control-C, Apple-C. I don't mind the names of the keys being different. I do mind the place of the keys being different. And putting function keys on the edge. I used to have a ThinkPad back in the day, which would put a function key on the outer edge and the control bit inset, much like this here. But every other keyboard had the control key on the very outer edge, which means you would always miss the copy and paste, and you can paste something completely random, or you just wouldn't do what you wanted. Stuff like that's really annoying. There's not much you can do about that, because unless I somehow stick a Mac keyboard on here and confuse Windows like mad, I'm just going to have to learn how to adapt. That is annoying. I love taking screenshots, actually. I use Command Control Shift 4, and I select the area, take a screenshot, and paste it into a tweet and do some kind of witty tweet about something I'm whinging about. So that's kind of cool. On Windows, I have to open the snipping tool, I have to click a menu, I have to click the new, I have to drag it, and then I have to hit copy, and basically it just takes forever. And I love taking notes on the Mac. So if I just got something I just want to jot down, and I can open up notes, and it's just there. It's nice, tidy, small. You get your list of notes, and now I can sync it to my phone because I'm using an Apple phone. That's really cool. On Windows, you've got a choice between, OneNote or Notepad. I'm not going to use Notepad for note taking because I have to figure out where to save the files and where I save the files. And OneNote takes too long to synchronize for me to actually be efficient. So that's annoying. What's your take? I know a lot of people who are moving to Mac who love Macs. More people I see around have Macs. I used to work for IBM, and now IBM are even using Macs when they were very much Windows prior to that. Which do you prefer, Mac or PC, and why? Can you say why? Have you used both as much to kind of really justify it? Are you a fanboy? I think I'm probably a little bit of a fanboy, but to be truthful, I'm a fanboy of Apple and Windows to some degree. Hope you enjoy the video, and yeah, leave your comments below if you like this video. Give it a thumbs up.